And welcome back. We are here at Automate Live 2023, sponsored by the Association for Advancing Automation. My name is Jake Hall, the Manufacturing Millennial, and I am with Chris Luecke, host of the podcast Manufacturing Happy Hour. And we have a special guest today, and I'm excited about this because the company that Shawn Smith works for, you're the director of sales, is JR Automation. And JR Automation was the first company that I worked for to get into manufacturing. So it's super exciting to be having a conversation with JR once again. Gosh, I think it was 2015 or 2016 is when I started working for JR.
Okay.
So a long time ago, and you guys hired me out for my entire high school year. So it's a lot of fun. But to get things kicked off, let's talk about your background. How did you get into manufacturing? How did you get into automation? How did you join the field?
Yeah, so I originally started out working for a manufacturing company that made steel rims for ATVs and off-road vehicles, and left there, and I'd done a little bit of engineering work at school, and found Advanced Automation at the time. This was in 2001. They're part of a bigger group, Dorfer companies, and we did all sorts of diversified automation for many different verticals, automotive, medical, e-commerce, consumer electronics. But I came from a manufacturing space that was kind of a dirty environment of making those steel rims.
Yeah.
And then I came into a brand new facility, nice and clean, getting to put together new stuff, and I was just blown away by that. Being able to get paid to come in and put stuff together and make things come to life. And that's what's really exciting about custom automation.
So speaking of custom automation, right? When I think of a systems integrator, I usually think of someone that's local or regional, right? JR is global. What does that allow you to do that other systems integrators cannot do?
Oh, well, first and foremost, it comes down to scalability, right? So we've got a big portfolio of customers of all different sizes, and they're all going through different, ebbs and flows of their growth and their development. With JR, you can come to us at whatever size company you are and whatever scale you want to get to, and because we have global facilities, we can not only scale up to meet individual customers' needs and their growth plans, but we can support them, outside of the United States. We can put together plans for them for, service level agreements and, come up with all of that post-installation support.
Yeah. Now, the one thing that I think is so cool about JR Automation is you guys literally are touching automation at every level, from the aerospace industry to when you guys acquired Setpoint Automation out in Utah, which does roller coasters and amusement rides, which I know Chris is massively
you've got a whole
about.
Division dedicated to that,
that's
right?
correct.
Yeah.
What are some of the industry segments that I guess you could say are truly moving forward in automation that weren't 5 years ago? Like, what companies are adapting automation that you never thought would be wanting you to talk to them?
Yeah, well, obviously e-commerce is one that has always been automated, but they haven't been automated in the way that you would think, 5 years before, sorry about that, before the COVID pandemic. Now with all of the onshoring, with all of the needs to have, our supplies in the United States, so we're not dependent upon, other countries and everything, e-commerce has been just exploding with automation. Obviously, semiconductor is a huge one now for the United States. For the last probably 3 to 4 decades, electronics and semiconductor have been dominated by the Asian market. Well, with all of our electrification that our society is moving towards, just a massive explosion of growth in the semicon space for JR.
Awesome.
So semiconductor, e-commerce. I'm going to go back to that last question we were talking about around, hey, what does this allow you to do as a global systems integrator? Can you paint this picture in the context of a project? No need to name specific company names per se, right? But an example of something you were able to take on that JR was uniquely positioned to do.
Sure. So, talking about scalability, we've got a couple of large customers that, they're all trying to meet the needs of society as well with massive growth. Their throughput is going through the roof, and they need to do it globally. So one of the things we sit down and do with those customers is we say, all right, where are you right now? Where do you want to be, next year, 5 years, or whatever? So we work with those customers on their, kind of long-term plan, and then we come back to them with an implementation strategy. How can we support them out of all of our different business units globally? And we allow them to deploy simultaneously to multiple locations in the U.S. or globally to other countries in Europe and in the APAC region.
So when we look at the industry, what excites you most about what we're seeing with technology, with robotics, with automation? What just gets you, wakes you up every morning from bed and says, I'm excited to do what we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, well, going back to 2001 when I started, I'm always get giddy about watching automation and seeing it come to life, and the ability that our really, really bright people can come up with phenomenal ideas of invention. I mean, almost everything we do is an invented solution to an application,
it's customized.
right? And it's just a new problem almost every time, and it's just so exciting to be at because of that, we're always trying to leverage all this technology that you see here at this show, all this new technology, and putting that into an application, integrating that and customizing it to solve those problems. That's what I get excited about. I love getting involved with helping to come up with solutions for custom applications, and that's what we are. A lot of people, you say systems integrator, and anybody can just go buy a bunch of parts and put them together and create a solution. But JR customizes that. We are a custom integrator. So we do a lot of different things with a lot of different partners, and probably 50% of what we do is a very customized solution. So that's what keeps me up and what wakes me up in the morning. And even today, 22 years later, after starting my career in automation, I'll just walk out. If I got free time on the shop floor, I'll go out and just look at what everybody's putting together and what they've done and all of the creativity that we bring. It's just amazing.
So I was having a similar conversation when it comes to like big projects, right? And these I feel like are in line with the type of things that JR takes on. How do you coach manufacturers to know what they want to get out of a project going into it, right? Because there's certainly, technology's cool. There's this element of, hey, this is the latest and greatest. I need that to, take my business to the next level. But it doesn't always seem to go with someone having the best handle on the results they want to get out of a project.
Sure.
I'm curious to get your perspectives on how you make sure someone has the right goals for an automation project.
Yeah, that comes down to the first conversation with the customer, right? We want to understand what their needs are, what their maturity level is with automation, and what is the goal? What is their end state or future state? And we have to be good stewards of automation, right? We don't want to just be providing solutions for an automatic application that isn't going to have a good ROI for that customer. And we will tell them that. This is a good application for automation, and here's how we would do it, or you don't really want to invest that money. You're not going to get your payback. We have those discussions every day. And what we like to do is, if some of it's kind of murky and the customer doesn't really know exactly how they want to move forward, we'll suggest like POPs, proof of principle type applications, maybe test some of the high risk processes associated with that application. Maybe we start out with a POP system, so we do like a demo unit of that sort of, kind of small throughput application, and then look at scaling that up and give them a plan to get there. So, okay, start small throughput, get up to maybe a mid-sized level of throughput of automation, and then on to a production level unit when they're ready financially.
So this next question is more on leadership. When I was at JR, I think it was under a couple hundred employees, and JR is a lot bigger now. There are thousands of engineers that in multiple countries. How do you best, I guess from a leadership role, being in the director of sales, how do you best coach your team when it comes to breaking into new industries or to solving new problems or going out there and addressing, I guess you could say, a project around automation that's never been done before? Mm-hmm. How do you keep a team focused when you're driving innovation?
Well, the other cool thing about what we do, while I said earlier, it's a very diversified business, and we're into everything. We touch almost every market. We're doing all sorts of processes in all of those different markets. But at the end of the day, it's automation, right? And I tell people this all the time. I mean, you've got like 4 or 5 key elements in automation. You're either building something, putting it together, you're processing that part, you're inspecting that part, or maybe you're packaging that part, or you're moving that part somewhere from point A to point B. Well, we tend to look at things automation agnostically, or a better way to put that is vertically agnostically, right? We'll automate anything, but we look at it that way. And so I tell like my guys, when you're out there and you're looking for new businesses to go pursue, new customers to go pursue, think about it from an automation standpoint. What is the problem they have? What is the hurdles they have? And let's kind of tap into all of the different experiences that we've done across all verticals, all customer bases, all processes, and then apply that to a solution.
I think that goes back to your previous answer as well, where you're saying, hey, it starts with the first conversation, understand what are the challenges, is this something that's able to be automated, similar process. So it's cool to hear not only what the client conversation is like, but how you get your team to focus on that too. One of our last big questions we have is a macro look at the industry. What are your predictions for the automation space? Maybe a big bet, maybe a small bet for where it's going to be 1 or 2 years from now.
Well, several ways to answer that question.
Okay.
Robotics right now everything is migrating towards that. Electrification, communication, we talk about, Internet of Things and digital solutions. That's a big part of our strategy because everybody is more connected every day. As human society, you look at all the devices that we interact with, well, the same goes for manufacturing. So I think we're going to see a heavy dose of robotics across industries that previously would not consider the investment for robotics, and then all of the digital solutions to tie all that back together. And to give all those critical process indicators and quality control, data, metrics, everything that you can do to maybe help support predictive maintenance, to get more throughput, more quality out of your process. So I think robotic solutions and digital solutions are going to be key.
Yeah, and that's kind of tied into the last question that I wrote, what do you see as automation beyond the machine? And I think that's one of those things that when I'm following you guys on social media and I'm reading your case studies, you're not just deploying a robotic assembly machine or a welding machine, you're also deploying the SCADA or the MES or the software that's driving the true productivity of that machine beyond. What excites you most about the digitization of manufacturing and automation, just not the physical portion?
Well, I think being able to have that data in front of you real time, if you're a director or you're a manager of a process or a plant and doing production, having all of that key information like on time and right at your fingertips, being able to make decisions maybe even more proactively. I mean, you think about a preventative maintenance kind of scenario where you've got like this motor that's getting hot and you've got sensors on it that are feeding back to the data system and saying, hey, a little predictive note here, sends out an email to the maintenance guy, look, this motor's getting hot, one day soon it's going to fail, right? So go ahead and get your plans together to replace that motor, rather than that thing failing right in the middle of production, and now you've got to go through and figure out, well, what's wrong, right? If you can plan for it, you can save yourself money, and today, product coming off the end of the line is money.
Yeah.
One question we like to ask at the end of these conversations is we covered a lot of ground, your applications, project management, the future. Is there anything you wish we would have asked that we haven't touched on yet?
That's a good question. I guess I would ask, you guys are at these shows and you're doing these podcasts like very frequently and helping to bring, this message out to our customers, to our partners. What are some of the things that excite you about technology right now in automation?
I'll answer first. I think one of the reasons we ask a lot of leadership questions in these interviews is there's just as much to learn from folks that are leading through innovation, leading through change, as there is to learn about the new technology itself. It's one thing to be able to technically adopt something. It's another thing to have willingness from your team to be able to adopt it. So I think that's something, you brought it up in this conversation, that we really love digging into, and I think we continue to see, as more generations enter the workforce, Gen Z's in here now, people are learning how to work with millennials, we've overcome a lot of those hurdles. So just hearing what people are doing beyond the technology is one of the things that excites me. Jake, how would you answer that?
Yeah, with the last 30 seconds, I would say the big thing that excites me is the impact that this industry can make on every single individual. And like I'll give JR a huge shout out where you guys do a massive amount with the university I went to, Grand Valley, where you guys have like 20 or 30 co-op students in the engineering program that they're going up there. So you're investing in, them, you're investing in high school students with Lego League and First Robotics. And I think that's just the one thing that I love about this industry is we can grow up, from a kid who's in middle school or elementary school, and it can become the profession with it.
Yeah.
So that's what excites me. So with that, we're wrapping up. Shawn, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
for a few
thanks for
minutes,
having me, Jake.
and
Thanks for
being
flipping the
part-
questions on us. That's
I wasn't
always fun.
expecting
First
that.
time today.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this is Jake Hall, Shawn Smith, Chris Luecke. We'll catch you guys soon.
Thanks, everybody.